Welcome to Rehash the Rolls. I don't normally run this, and so I was unfamiliar with how Lydia had everything set up. I promise I will send everything back to the way that you had it before I started messing with it, because I had to change some things in order to get it to work. Anyway, welcome. I am guest hosting Rehash the Rolls. I've never done this before. I'm actually kind of excited. Today we have Sarah and Ian here, who play Galena and Piotr respectively. Rehash the Rolls is just our talk show where we come and we talk about Ready to Roll and what's been going on there. I ask some questions that have been submitted by audience members and fellow cast members, and sometimes me and myself. So we're gonna go ahead and just get right into it. So the first question I have for both of you is, how did you think that last session was gonna play out? I mean, the session before that, we left off with you guys, Galena being knocked unconscious and Piotr being punched in the face. Did you think it was going to play out the way it did? Did you think you were going to wake up in some damp dungeon, or what did you guys think was going to happen last session?
Yeah, I definitely thought Piotr at a minimum was getting kidnapped.
So did
Which
I.
I think was your plan, to be fair. Your dice foiled it, so.
That is true. Natural ones will do that to you. I think something's going to go one way. Are you happy with the way it worked out? Would you rather have been kidnapped, or are you okay with not having been kidnapped?
It's hard to say. That was rich, though. Like, I don't think anybody expected the direction that went in, so I think it was great.
I will testify. I most certainly did not expect the direction that it headed. So in regards to all of that, are you okay with the man who attacked you being brought under your employ through Corvett's actions?
Oh, me?
Both of you.
Me or Piotr? Piotr's not down. Yeah, but gotta do what our friends want to do sometimes.
Lena's really confused because they kept saying how great of friends they are. And now she wakes up and they tell her, yeah, we just kind of sold Piotr out after the wedding. He's getting taken away. And she's like, wait, what? I didn't think this was how friends worked. I'm confused.
Yeah, that's a good point. Which brings us to our next question, for Ian. Like Sarah just pointed out, your friends did kind of just leave you out to dry. Part of their, it's part of the agreement with Theron Longtree, the bounty hunter, is that you have to turn yourself in at the end of this. Are you mad at your friends? Are you okay with this? Or is Piotr okay with the decision? Is Piotr mad with their friends? Because obviously there's a distinction between Piotr.
Yeah, if we stick to Piotr's not down with the whole turning himself in thing. Sorry, just so everyone knows, I am babysitting a puppy who is anyway. So if I glance over, it's to make sure he's not like choking on something. Anyway, Piotr is very very disappointed. He's not mad. Just kidding. He's probably pretty pissed. He's not mad. He's just disappointed.
Disappointed, right? Is this how you foresaw Piotr being brought to justice?
No, not at all. And I was like, sorry. I was, the whole thing, the whole time I was like, okay, this is interesting, friends. I wonder what your plan is now. And then we just went through to the end of the session, and I was like, oh, that's the plan. Okay.
Yeah. Is do you as a player want Piotr to be punished for his crimes? Do you think that he should be punished for what he did?
I don't know how to answer this question. I don't know if I should answer this question.
Well, it's up to you. You're free to answer or not answer any questions you see fit.
I decline to comment at this time.
Your declination of commenting is telling, to say the least. What about you, Sarah? Do you think that Piotr should be brought forth and be punished for his crimes? Or do you think there's more to the story that we might not be aware of?
Well, now that she knows that the Dark Priestess has been manipulating things behind the scenes, she thinks that it should be thoroughly investigated and there should be some spell, some way that would show whether he was fully in control of himself or not.
Okay. We did get a good look, thanks to Piotr, to enchantment spells as a whole, thanks to some of Piotr's actions last session. Do you think that there might be some clues into, based upon what he, his spell and how he cast his spell and the after effects of his spell that might lead you to, down this investigation? Lead you to
Some
a
of the
firm answer?
some of the spells that control people, you know that you've been controlled afterwards. And he didn't mention when he talked to Galena anyway that he felt like he had been controlled by a spell afterwards. But there's some, since I've been reading up on some of these spells, that it doesn't say that the being knows that they have been controlled. So
Fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
Back on kind of on the topic of, for both of you, for having Theron Longtree in your employ, what kind of repercussions do you guys see as a whole for having turned this bounty hunter who was trying to capture you into basically your employee? Do you see any repercussions coming from that, or do you think that was kind of just play out?
well, for one, Piotr's getting carted away after the wedding.
Yeah, I mean, granted, there's always a possibility that they figure something out, but okay, I have like 50 ideas for other characters. It's fine.
That's good, because that was one of our other questions: is do you have a backup character ready to go?
Oh, that was a joke. I do not currently, but usually how I make my characters is I sit down with Patrick and we just play like mental tennis for a little bit and figure it out.
Until he finds something that his ADHD grabs onto, and he's like, "Yeah, that one." But that's pretty much how it goes every time.
Yep.
Great. Let us see. Other things in regard to that. Piotr. All right, Ian. Does Piotr feel any sense of remorse or guilt over his actions? He doesn't really seem to show it during the dream sequences, or at least according to some of our audience members. He seems to be kind of like, not my fault, not my problem. You died, I got yeeted off into the other side of the world. So and then when it was brought up, in the very beginning of the campaign with that tree that was like, nah, you're not worthy to touch this fruit, even the cleric of the party was like, there might be more of the situations you don't know. So have you just kind of used that as an excuse to write off Piotr's feelings of guilt, or what does Piotr actually feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, so he's definitely I will say that he's definitely okay with um the party not being steadfastly on his case about that whole thing, if that makes sense. Um there's I think Piotr at one point I would say I think he's shifting in
Yeah.
his understanding of those events. Not necessarily his understanding. I think he knows very well what happened, obviously. Um, but but kind of, I guess, the gravity of those events, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So he's coming to, I guess, understand more just the gravity of what happened. That there were obviously not only were there not only was this just not simply an interaction that affected two people, but obviously Katya has a family who he's gotten to kind of see a little bit of a glimpse into, kind of what's going on their end. Um, so things are stirring in him, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. That's to me. All right. We're going to shift focus to another aspect of the game, the kind of relationship between Galena and Piotr. Sarah, Galena seems more intent than ever to break the curse that binds, Galena and Piotr. What was kind of the impetus for that? Because before it was like an annoyance, but she kind of just was like, okay, whatever, we'll go with it until it's done. But this last procession in particular, you're like, no, we got to go find a way to break the curse. Is there something that happened that made Galena decide this was a path that, she needed to go down? Or was this always Galena's plan? Just now she had the opportunity to start researching for the first time.
It was always kind of on the back burner, her plan. And now she needs to learn remove curse, and she needs to get extra ingredients, and then she can see if she can break a Fey Lord's curse. And she's all about the research and learning new spells. How great would that be to be able to tell her mother, look, I can remove a Fey Lord's curse successfully?
Yeah.
Don't you think that means that I have gained a lot of new knowledge and power and I can be useful? So it's kind of I want to see if I can do it.
So the ultimate goal for Galena, if I'm understanding correctly, is to be at a point where your mother, where Galena's mother feels like she can actually help her in the research. So basically, Galena's trying to prove herself to her mother. Am I understanding that correctly?
She wants to prove herself to her mother that she is no longer a kid who needs to just stay home and study and be protected.
So that brings up another interesting thing. Galena seems unsure of her abilities. At least that comes across to some of our audience members sometimes. She seems kind of unsure of herself. Several times there have been people of, beings of significantly more power than her that have said that she has great potential, but she kind of just plays it off and is like, oh, I don't know. I don't think I agree with you. The first instance we have that was Maeve, when Maeve told Piotr that you need to keep your eyes on her at all times. Because she has, great potential, great power. And then most recently we have the Dark Priestess. The Dark Priestess even went so far to say, when she was talking to Corvette and doing that future prediction that Corvette was kind of asking for, that Galena had the potential to become one of the most powerful archmages this world had ever seen. So why does Galena doubt herself so much?
She's had 200 years of living with her mother, who said, no, you're not ready. You need to study more. No, you're not up to par yet. You need to study more. So she's had 200 years of that. And then there's some of the spells that she knows that she hasn't really had a chance to study, because, like, disguise self, she's practiced it. She can look in the mirror, but is it really working? Would she really fool anybody? Well, the only person she has to practice that on is her mother, who knows that nobody else is in the tower, and her familiar squirrel, who always knows that it's her. So there's some of those spells that she hasn't really had a chance to practice very effectively. So between the two, her mother telling her she's not good enough yet and not really getting to practice very much, she really doesn't feel... She's kind of also proving to herself that she's got it, that she's good enough.
So the way I'm seeing it is supernatural beings, super powerful supernatural beings' opinions here, mother's opinion here. It's basically what it looks like, which is, that's interesting. I mean, I definitely have to agree that sometimes I understand that kind of stuff. Cool. Well, so back into regards to the curse, I just wanted to go that way since it kind of was talking about, mother proving yourself, but back towards the curse. Question for Ian really quickly. Piotr doesn't seem to be bothered by it anymore. Do you think that it's just a fact of life that Piotr. I mean, he did kind of try to push with Maeve last session to be like, release me from this curse. I fulfilled your agreement, but she's like, no, you haven't. The agreement is to never take your eyes off her. Otherwise you start. What do you think would happen? I mean, so I guess the question reading they're trying to ask is, what do you think would happen if Piotr has an extended period of time away from Galena? How long do you think it will take for it to be considered negligent on the agreement?
Wait, say that again.
How long do you think that you would need to not be in Galena's presence for? Because looking at here, trying to give more context based on this question. We remember that in the last session you were fighting against the Dark Priestess and being like, look, I've met my end of the bargain, and she told you hadn't. That her end of the bargain, that the end of the bargain was, look, you need to keep your eyes on her at all times. Never let you take your eyes off her. And she even went ahead so far as to tell you what the punishment for that would be. The punishment would be an erasure of your memory from the point that she gave you the information you were looking for, which in your defense isn't as long as some of the other players, but the moment that she gave you the information you were looking for to that point that you broke the agreement. The base for you, that would be literally moments before you met Galena to now. So
Yeah.
How long do you think that you're lucky that blinking, for Phalord, you're lucky that blinking doesn't count as you being negligent on your agreement? How long do you think it would actually take before Maeve said, you aren't upholding your end of the bargain, I'm going to enact the punishment?
Oh, good question. Very good question. I hadn't really thought of it like that. I guess my understanding was so good question. I don't know.
I mean, I didn't expect you to have an answer to it. Just more thought-provoking question.
Yeah, fun question. Because basically, my understanding was that the entirety of the agreement was you keep your eyes on Galena at all times, or you get a migraine.
So you don't think that migraine is a symptom of perhaps something else?
Whatever is happening. Well, I mean, eventually it'll lead to checks notes, death, but
Not death. I mean, not necessarily death. Do you think that, because based upon what Maeve told you, it would lead to you forgetting the memories from that point on, which wouldn't be as detrimental for you. It's technically only been a few weeks since you actually received the answers to the question that you wanted, because your question was, I want to see Katja's family. I remember, if you remember correctly, if I'm remembering correctly as well. And that's what led you to learn about the bounty hunters. So not, but that could be, but let's say, just thinking, you're welcome to, I'm just hypothesizing and you're just hypothesizing. Let's say that Maeve appears to Jelania the next session and says, I need you to do this thing, and Jelania refuses. That's, something I hadn't thought about. Thank you for the ideas, audience members. That's a lot longer. Jelania got the answer to her question the moment that they were in the Valley of Pelegorod when Maeve offered it. That is, at this point, 4 or 5 months of knowledge and experience that Jelania could lose if she chose to reject, to not do what Maeve told her to do. Do you think? The question is, that I'm coming with, and I was like, do you think any of your party members are brash enough to reject, to be like, no, I'm not upholding my end of the bargain?
I guess it depends. I can't remember what they all promised to do.
I mean, that's the thing, is it was an open-ended, you will do what you owe me a favor and you will do it when the time comes. And so she had, the only person that she's cashed in that favor for was you. So currently, at least in the party, there technically are 2 other party members out there, people out there with uncashed, Phalord favors. In the party, there's 2 other people who have favors that haven't been cashed in yet. I think that might have some negative side effects for the rest of the party as a whole.
Very
And
potentially.
both of you can answer this question. This is kind of just I just started going down my thought train with this, and so
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at least from a party cohesion standpoint, and even like a party mission standpoint, Piotr's favor or Piotr's whatever, like the favor to the Fey Lord to Maeve, isn't that severe. It's like quirky
yeah.
mostly.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, it could be anything.
you have any thoughts on this, Sarah?
So stuff could get metal.
Seeing how our party plays, doing things that are detrimental to yourself and everyone else in the party seems like something that we would be down for. I can see that happening.
Right. I mean, and Piotr's right. I mean, Ian's right. Sorry, I'm in the ready to roll, and so you're all character names right now. Ian is right. The current favor that asked for was quirky and purely for, and as Maeve admitted, purely for the amusement of Maeve. This last point. I mean, when initially Galena was recruited, she was like, she's gonna have some stuff that's important for your mission later on. But at this point, it's just, yeah, it could be anything. She could literally, you could wake up next session, not saying this is what's going to happen, I'm just spewing thoughts out there. You guys could wake up next session and Maeve could appear to Corvette and say, I need you to kill Jelania. That is the favor. Or Corvette loses all his memories from the past 4 or 5 months. Which, so you can understand the impact, the way I would translate that as a DM is Corvette would go back to level 3. And so, because he would lose the memory and the experiences that came with those memories. So, it's so, yeah, I don't know, just interesting thoughts, just saying things because Patrick went down the thought train and wanted to get other people's thoughts on it.
Yeah, that'd be rad. No, it wouldn't.
Note to self: do not make deals with Fey Lords.
Although,
I mean,
imagine those encounters. We'd have like a whole bunch of like level 3, like challenge rating, like I don't know, just weak enemies.
I'd
And
work something out. Obviously, I wouldn't make it so that way your poor level 3 party member was getting stomped by the level 9 encounters I was throwing at you guys. I'd work something out.
yeah, I know.
Some way for him to get that experience back rapidly, so that way he was on par with you guys. But like that was just a thought process. Who knows? They may or may not. And I don't want this influencing your guys' decisions in the slightest. I want you to do what your character would do.
No.
Cool. Great. Awesome. Back to more about the curse. So it looks like, Galena, the question that we had is, which of the two ways are you leaning towards to try to break the curse? It looks like you're trying to lean towards the gathering of the materials way. Do you still believe that the curse is breakable at this point? Is the first part of that question, is the next part of that question.
Yes, she absolutely thinks that if she researches enough and gathers all the materials, then she can do it.
Let's say that, just going to the other part of the question was, if you were decided to go down the way of finding Maeve's true name, what would you do with that, with Fey Lord basically under your thumb? Like, what would Galena do?
Oh, I would have to think about that for a while, but it probably wouldn't be a good thing.
Probably not, but I mean, yeah, that's a thought. That's a thought to have. What to go ahead, what would people have under there? Yeah.
I have my
Basically,
notebook here. I should write this down. Find out the Fey Lord's name. Have ultimate power will be fun.
Oh, and the next question is how far would Maeve let you get? Because it's not like she would just go willingly.
It's true. Could be very
Could
dangerous.
be very dangerous. Cool. More about the curse, Galena. So, Sarah, if Galena breaks the curse, let's just say somehow ends up with either Maeve's name or all the ingredients in the next session, does Galena have a reason to stay? Or would she be like, cool, I don't need to be in this guy's eyesight anymore so he doesn't lose his memory. I can go. Would you stick around or
Actually, up until this point, leaving his sight never hurt her anyway.
True.
So if she didn't have any other reasons because she wasn't friends with him and he straight up admitted he's a murderer, she would have just left anyway.
Fair. That is fair.
But she has noticed that things in this world cost money, and she no longer has money. But this party seems perfectly willing to feed and house her for free. And they also seem to have monsters and things attacking them all the time, which gives her opportunities to practice her more lethal spells without feeling guilty because she's attacking things that are attacking her. So
Fair.
she has various other reasons to stay.
That's good. That's fair. Speaking of the party's funds, now that Galena is aware that the party has more funds than she was previously aware of, how much of the remainder that Corvette didn't spend does Galena intend to spend on getting more spells?
She really wants more spells. In fact, she's kind of a little mad that they decided to let this random bounty hunter turn in Piotr for all that gold when they could turn him in if that's what they were going to do and get the money themselves. And she didn't make this deal. She was asleep.
True.
So things might happen next session because she's not altogether happy that the bounty hunter will get all the money.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, if the money's what
Oh,
you're
it's
after,
gonna
go
be
turn
a
in Piotr yourself.
It's gonna be a dramalicious
Totally gonna be a
episode.
drama-filled episode.
On the other hand, she really wants to see if she can break the curse, so you really can't go anywhere until she's gotten to do that.
Sure.
Bounty hunter or no bounty hunter.
So much good stuff coming, guys. I'm so excited. Since we were just talking about Piotr, what are your general what are Galena's, I think this has been asked several times, but I'm curious to see how it evolved. What are Galena's general thoughts on Piotr, seeing as he is the party member that Galena has been forced to spend the most time with, particularly with the, the murderer, all that kind of, there's bounty hunters coming after him. Does Galena see Piotr as a friend, or does Galena see Piotr as kind of a nuisance that has to be around for?
For the longest time, she saw him as the annoying nuisance that she can't understand why he didn't change the way he looks and use a different name. Like, why isn't he smarter than this? And but at the same time, he's not the way her mother portrayed bards. And it was only until like that last session where they had their little talk where she's like, I'm actually kind of lonely and I would like some friends. And you're kind of insulting me every time you tell people that you'd rather not have to hang around me. So when they had that little talk and he said that's not how he saw that, he's kind of sorry. So they were maybe headed towards being friends. I guess it'll depend on whether she sells him out for money, huh?
Fair. That's fair. That's a friendship. If I just on side tangent, I believe, when we had the conversation about being a bard, meaning at the go with what you're saying, Ian very specifically is like, I don't want to be the stereotypical horny bard. And I was like, then don't be. We talked it, so Ian was like, I don't want to be I don't want to be that bard, the I roll to seduce the dragon bard. Not what Ian wanted to be. So
it is fun to play a character that people think is going to be one way and then you play against the type.
Subverting expectations is really fun.
Ian's pretty good at doing that.
Is that foreshadowing? I don't know.
See, all right. Back to some questions for Ian.
Oh no.
dreams that have been going on. You haven't really told anyone that you've been having them besides bad dreams, particularly now that your subconscious has started talking back. Do you intend on ever telling anyone and letting people know that this is a thing that's happening, or is
I think
this going to be
I've
something
told
just
at least Anya once, at least, right?
that you're having bad dreams and that Katya was there, but you haven't told people that your dreams are talking back?
Mm.
And that's the question. That's another question. Why did you tell Anya and not Corvette or Galena?
If I remember correctly, that was well, I guess, you don't have to tell people in the moment.
But I mean, and that's a perfectly valid if it's like it just came up in the moment and it felt appropriate
Yeah,
to say that's a perfectly
yeah,
valid answer.
basically.
Cool. But do you plan on
Right.
telling anyone else?
Good question. This is the part where it's like, does Ian just like forget about this stuff? Spoiler alert, he does. um, um, but yes, Piotr to synchronize all of this. Yeah, Piotr will probably be more open about that
Do you think you're gonna have the
in the
opportunity
future.
to be more open about it, or do
Yeah,
you?
if he survives for more than a day.
We will see. We will see. Right. Hey, now that we got some questions for both of you. These are less focused on the last session but more focused about kind of like just general things. Um, both of you, what party member do you see your characters as closest to? And would you consider that party member emotionally close or your closest ally? Because I think there's kind of a difference, and clearly this questioner is making a difference between closest ally, someone that you
Yeah.
can trust on, lean on emotionally.
So ally, the way I see that is it would be more appropriate to talk about allies or factions within the party if there were, because we really haven't had inter-party conflict since why am I forgetting Adam's character's
Artyom.
name? Artyom. I wanted to say Artrath. Artyom. So since Artyom and Jelania had their little spat a million years ago, we really haven't had a whole lot of inter-party conflict.
True.
So I guess as there aren't really factions in the party as far as at least the way I see it.
Right, but there could be some inter-party conflict coming up now that you've.
Oh, it's. I mean, yeah, yeah, it's coming.
Tune in next week if you want to find out. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah, but right now, like as of where we left off, there really aren't factions, right? At least as far as I see it. So, I guess I only know how to answer one of those questions at this point.
That's fair.
And
That's perfectly fine.
I would say that Anya is the companion to whom Piotr is closest. Well, Galena's kind of up there as well. I mean, they've had their one-on-one, work speak, their heart to heart. So yeah, I would say either Anya or Galena.
Sarah, what do you feel about for Galena?
Well, Galena figures that Piotr has the biggest reason to keep her alive. So, as far as an ally that wants to keep you around and keep you alive, she figures he's the one. As far as emotionally, I don't think she's really let herself become emotionally close to the party. I think that talk with Piotr about wanting to make some friends was the closest she's gotten so far. Her and Jelania have started to maybe have some girl chats, like about Antivin and stuff. So she's sort of feeling out tentatively in Jelania's direction.
Okay. So another question that just remembering near the end where it looked like Jelania wanted to talk to Galena about Antivin several times, but didn't. And I think I don't remember if this was said in game or if this was said after the game. We were just like, yeah, Galena probably wouldn't give like necessarily the best advice anyway because she's just like been by herself for 200 years. But what advice would Galena give to Jelania in regards to Antivin?
I think kind of what she said in game. What do you want? Do you want him to hang out with you? Then go after him. If you like the fact that he's staying away from you, then leave it be. She I don't think she gets the complexities of human emotions where you might want both at the same time. She's just like, if you're sad that he's running away from you, then go talk to him. Why aren't you?
Fair. What about you, Piotr? What advice would Piotr give to Sonya in regards to
I feel like there's something else I should say, but
usually
it's not coming to
is.
me.
But
This is no. I have something to say, but I feel like this is more generic than it could be. But off the top of my head, I mean, Piotr doesn't really get the whole like. I guess he's in Galena's corner as far as that's concerned. Like, do it. No one's gonna do it for you.
okay. The next question. If you could change one thing about your character, what would you change?
Mm.
And if there's nothing that you would want to change, that's perfectly fine. It's just a question. If you could, what would you change?
I don't know. I really like Piotr. He is one of my favorite characters that I've ever played, if not my favorite.
Anything you change about Galena?
I really like Galena the way she is. She's fun to play now. I actually need to change some stuff about Luchik though, because I found out that I've been playing a familiar wrong. I did not understand the rules. Is something that Lydia pointed out to me. So we might need to talk about how I have messed up my familiar and people will see things played differently in the future because I didn't do it right. But as for Galena, I like the way she is.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with the familiar rules. I've never had a player find familiar, and I know that it works vastly different in 5e than it did in 3.5. So, which is, and I don't even think there were familiars in 4e, but I played 4e for like a few months before I went on mission, and by the time I came back, they'd replaced everything with 5e, and I was like, "What is this?" So, yeah, I'm not overly familiar with the. I believe Lydia pointed out what you were talking about to me, so I may know what it is. I haven't had an issue with playing it. All right. Next question, and possibly the last, unless something else comes to me at the spur of the moment. So let's say that you yourselves, Sarah and Ian, were stuck in a pit. Which of the characters from the party would you want to come rescue you, and why?
Oof. So we were both stuck in a pit?
No, you're stuck in a pit individually.
Oh, okay.
And a party member has to come rescue you. You can pick the same party member, but like you're stuck in a pit, no way out unless a party member comes and rescues you.
Is the pit big enough for Corvit's wings?
Sure, probably.
Then person with wings.
That makes sense, yeah.
Logically, that makes sense.
But it's Corvette who you really want to come rescue you.
But that is not who Piotr would say.
But I'm talking about Ian. Who would Ian want to come rescue you?
Oh, Ian?
Yeah.
That's a different question. Now I have to think again. Ian, I don't know. I've been like so like dug into Piotr's brain that it's hard to like I mean, for the extent of this conversation. I don't know. I guess it sounds like a cop out, but I guess like the easiest. No, no, no,
One day he will
no.
spit out an answer, folks. I promise.
Yeah, but we're just padding watch time is what we're doing right now. Anya is even though that's exactly what Piotr would say.
Why would you want Anya to come?
Piotr had
Why would Ian
see?
want Anya to come save you?
That's a different answer.
That's the answer we're looking for. That was literally the question.
Why? Ian wants it right now because Piotr wants it. But I to not cop out, I will say I think actually no, I'm changing my mind. I'm changing my mind. I'm going to say Corvette because I feel like Piotr has a pretty strong, like at least pretty strong threads binding him both to Galena and Anya. Not so much to Corvette, I feel.
Ian wants Corvette to come save him because he wants to build stronger threads for Piotr.
Inter-party unity. That's what I want.
But Corvette isn't coming to save Piotr. Corvette's coming to save Ian.
What? Oh no! This is okay.
He
This is a whole.
This is what we've said.
My name. Okay, my name is Ian Harris. I can't speak. I don't understand.
Ian
English.
Harris is having an identity crisis, folks. He thinks he's Piotr. He might need to take a break from Ready to Roll for a few weeks.
I just. It's really hard to. Piotr is my alter ego now.
At this point, I think Ian's your alter ego.
Oh. Okay. So somebody from the party is coming to save Ian.
Ian coming to save Ian Harris, our favorite person with half a body working.
I would want Piotr to save me.
Why would
because
you?
Piotr is my child.
Is Piotr's child.
I made him. He can save my life.
All right then. Sounds good. All right. Well, that's all the questions that I have or that I've accumulated that I have for you guys. Do you guys have any questions for each other? Me? For anyone else?
I do. I want to point something out from chat. Our dear friend Hammervogel said that we should send the Fey Lord back to level 3. And honestly,
good luck with that.
If we Sarah, if we could figure out a way to do that, it'd be dope.
Send the Fey Lord back to level 3.
What if learning her name? I'm done.
All right. Sarah, anything else you want to add or done?
No, this was good. I was wondering how attached Ian was to Piotr and how hard Galena should kick up a wizard fit to keep him around. And I think I have learned he is very attached to Piotr. So
he is very attached.
So
Ian and I spend hours talking about Piotr. Some weeks we just sit and we'll talk about Piotr for hours in our plans with him. So
yeah,
just so that everyone else is aware how attached to Piotr Ian is. And considering the fact that Ian has had some great Dungeons and Dragons characters, like some of the greatest I've ever played with, and him saying that Piotr is his favorite, that's something.
If I have my way, this character will be my magnum opus. Does that sound conceited?
I hope we are going to play Dungeons and Dragons for several more years. I hope your magnum opus hasn't come yet.
Well, okay, yeah, but up until this point, he will be the magnum opus of my 20s.
Okay. We'll wait till you get
I can surpass him when I'm 30.
You're not that far away. Um,
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, that's gonna be it for Rehash tonight, folks. Thanks everyone for coming out. Just some basic reminders. Ready to Roll will be back next week on Thursday, the 21st of October. We will be, we'll pick up right where we left off because we didn't even get to pick. We literally left off in the middle of a bunch of action. Seems like I do that on purpose. But so we will be picking up right there. I believe we'll be actually picking up with the ladies going to Corvette to try to find out where some magic books would be secretly stashed. So tune in for that and see what else is going to happen next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. And that is all the announcements we have this time. We're hoping, I'm at least hoping, that we can add some more stuff to our roster. Our roster has kind of thinned in the past few months, so I'm kind of hoping that we can maybe get some more stuff added on, but just stay tuned for that. And thanks everyone for coming out, and we will talk with you all next week. Bye, guys.
See ya.